the definition for love as a working definition is the decision to commit.
This actually kind of relates back to a question we asked them last episode where they were here about soulmates and about the belief in whether soulmates were a thing or not.
You have to have like a middle ground of like, I'm choosing to love you every day, and I also have these like non-negotiables.
So good, because there is a danger in getting into the extremes of both sides. Like whether you're secular or Christian, it can be dangerous as a Christian to be like, oh, God brought you into my life, which can be true. But if that person is bringing harm to you, like I see that in relationships.
Hey, homebodies. Welcome back to the... Hi, homebodies.
Keep going.
Hey, homebodies. Welcome back to the Introvert City Podcast, where we discuss culture, media, and faith from the perspective of an introvert's complex mind. I'm Seth.
And I'm Carina, and
we're
Seth
back.
is dramatic.
I am dramatic.
Yeah. Do you like
Guys,
that we're on the same side of the table today?
we are on the same side of the table.
That
It's
can
kinda
only
weird.
mean one thing. Sorry.
Like, yeah, it is kind of weird, and that could only mean one thing.
Yeah.
What could that mean? That
When-
the two chairs on the other side are broken, and I couldn't sit on either of them.
Unfortunately, you're
Or
going
that
to
it's
have
cold
to
over there.
watch us interact side by side today.
It is really cold, though. I will say
is.
it was 9 degrees this morning.
That's terrible.
What even is that? 9 degrees. How is that?
Yeah,
possible?
that is the only thing that's kind of indicative of the holidays. Because we just did an
Oh, yeah.
episode 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks or whatever, about how the holidays are kind of losing its magic. And it was really sad to talk about, but I think it was good to get our feelings out on the table and discuss where we're at. So the
Yeah.
only thing that really feels like Christmas is going outside and feeling like negative 2 degrees.
And it did snow. It did snow here quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
We got a lot of snow last Friday, I believe it was. It was really nice. It was really pretty outside. And I was working in it, though. But it's okay, because it was fun. Anyway.
We're very thankful to be in an area that experiences all 4 seasons.
Yes. Some people don't get snow.
Yeah.
Like, there's people who literally will never experience snow. So be thankful that you get to experience snow and a snow day and getting a 2-hour delay because of snow, or off the day from school because of snow.
Or an online day, unfortunately.
Or an online day.
Yeah.
Actually, you guys, we're actually recording this like 2 days before Christmas.
That's
but
crazy. It doesn't feel like that.
You guys will get this probably around New Year's.
Probably.
So Merry Christmas and
Okay.
Happy New Year's.
Okay, listen to our lead-in. We mentioned that the holidays might start to feel less magical as we get older. But you know what helps bring back the magic? What helps, Seth?
Community and good friends.
Yay! So we've decided to reach out to some friends who were on our episode. Actually, this time last year, I think it was like end of December. And they were their episode was the most popular, most downloaded throughout the entire 2024 season. So that was really touching and really exciting. So we're very grateful to bring back Gabby and Josiah.
What
Hey,
up,
guys.
gang?
Hi, guys. Welcome back.
I'm so glad to be back.
Welcome back.
Thanks for saying yes. This means a lot. Your friendship means a lot to us. And we always feel like we walk away from our conversations feeling so fulfilled and reflective. So we're thankful you're here.
Heck yeah. Glad to be here.
Yes.
So, just first question, I guess. How are you guys doing? Hi, guys. You guys got any big announcements? Nothing that important happened since last time, right?
Well, I was going to say, I don't think we're the only ones that said yes. I'm pretty sure that there's just one particular person in this room that said yes.
Oh!
So that would be her.
That was so good.
That was pretty smooth.
That was so
We're
good.
engaged.
That was pretty
We are engaged.
Let's go. Close up.
Yo.
Close up, Talon. Talon, get a close up.
Talon,
Get
zoom
a
in
close
on
up,
that
Talon.
ring.
There, right there.
Close up, Talon.
Please,
that
get
rock.
it. You don't actually need to
Nails.
get that close because you can see it from pretty far away.
Okay.
It's that's a rock.
That's all I'm going to say about that one.
I'm so happy for you guys. Oh my gosh, I already told Gabby, but I showed my entire family your wedding invitation because it's so pretty, and I'm
thank you.
so happy.
Thank you
So
so
what
much.
was that like? And one of the first questions we have is, how did you guys know you were ready?
I'm going to start off with just some background on me. I grew up in not the best atmosphere, just at home in general. I didn't have the greatest outlook on men, and I had a lot of trust issues. So meeting Josiah, who is a very kind man, he definitely helped me start a journey of healing with men and my perspective on men. And so I think there was a couple events that happened leading up to our engagement that just confirmed that I guess he was the one for me. I think a lot of the times where I found that I needed to trust him were during times of like trials and tribulations throughout our relationship. So if he would go off for a while and we wouldn't be together and I would be worried, or situations would come up where I felt he wasn't handling them well or was just causing me to have a lot of anxiety, I had to lean more on God and trust God first, and then that helped me trust him. And so realizing that through those times God has been faithful to me when I put my trust in God first, that really helped me approach Josiah in a different way that was healthier, I'd say, because a lot of the time it used to be very negative and toxic. And I think just all those events, I don't know, just grew us a lot, and then just made me think, like, I don't want anyone else. Like, I don't think anyone else is like this man who can just understand me so well and is someone I can put my trust in and, like, give me just a sense of security that I've never gotten from anyone ever, other than God, of course, in my life, or any other man in my life. So, yeah.
Wow.
I'd say that. I don't have anything specific because there's so many, but
I think to add on to that, like, they're definitely, like, I know some of the situations that you're talking about.
you can talk about them.
And I was going to mention specifically the one area was, what was that? The summer of 23. So not this past summer, but the summer before that. I worked at a summer camp for the entire summer as a counselor. And during that summer, there was particular things that would come up that, I don't know, I guess put us on the rocks, to say it one way, in a lot of the way that our relationship, like, I don't know, interacted with each other, or the way that it was beginning to form deeper than what it had been up until that point. Like she said, from her angle, there was a lot that she had to surrender to God as far as just like trusting me and trusting the Lord in the whole process. But from my perspective, there was a lot of just like internal questioning that I was doing, and I may have been presenting or processing it out loud, not in the healthiest of ways. But I think internally God was doing something that was truly getting me to a spot where I could be the best type of man for her. Like, I just look back on that time, and coming out of everything that we went through, I knew that she was a person that I wanted to commit to. And this is like, I guess, the formation of where I would identify why I felt that she was the one, if you want to call it that way, or why I knew I was ready. And I learned this for myself before I was able to really put the specific words to it, in which I learned in a class this past semester. But to use those words, the definition for love as a working definition is the decision to commit. And so a lot of times our culture wants to define it as the emotions that you're feeling or the actions that you're seeing or doing. And yes, those are a part of love, but really the essence of love from the unconditional standpoint is just this decision to commit to somebody. And so coming out of that summer, I worked it out with God, where I was like, I want to commit to her. Like, I want to know that she's worth it. I want to know that she is this person that's going to, I don't know, kind of be in my life forever. And so God was able to reveal so many of the good qualities that she has as a woman. And so I got to this point where I was like, I want to commit to you. And so despite distance, despite conflict, despite, I don't know, weird feelings or a lack of action or whatever, like, there was this foundation of commitment that was there that has been able to fuel everything since that. And whenever we go through hard things, it always falls back onto that. Like, there is a commitment here. And so I think even since getting engaged, that commitment has, I think, even strengthened, because it's like, okay, like I've asked the question, will you marry me? And you said yes. So there's already this like precursor to saying I do. And so I think that's just strengthened our relationship in a lot of ways, especially cognitively, as we think about like when we're in our own spaces, like, oh no, like I have my fiance, somebody somewhere else, like this person that wants to marry me, wants to be with me for the rest of their life. They like that exists. And it's not just this like, oh, I have this really, really close friend of the opposite gender or whatever. Like there's just this level of like, she checked all of the boxes of the quote unquote type of person, not this like my uniqueness and her uniqueness perfectly matched together. But as far as like loving the Lord and wanting to love people, wanting to grow and seeing patterns of growth, she was the type of person that I wanted to commit to. And then that was on top of the friendship that we had already built together. And so I looked at my best friend and I looked at this woman as far as wanting to be my wife. And I said, I want to commit to you for the rest of my life.
Yay.
Lesson.
Guys, I'm literally going to cry right now. Stop it. I'm so happy for you guys. Yeah, you're going to say that question.
I'm happy for you guys too. Thank you guys for being so honest about that. That's great. I'm glad to hear that you guys are in a good, healthy relationship. Speaking of good, healthy relationships, I have something to say, and another question to ask, actually. So,
are you asking me to
of
marry
course, what?
Yes.
Chill. Not on the air. Chill. So in dating culture today, there tends to be, you mentioned, love is the act of committing to another person, right? Especially in the unconditional sense in marriage. It's not just about the emotional side, but there is that active choice, that active commitment to give your love, your affection to that person unconditionally, right? Now, of course, in today's society, we can find it really, really difficult, or at least we see a lot of people find it difficult for some reason to give that commitment to people, or to keep that commitment to a singular person, or to just want to find something stable and healthy like that. What would you guys comment on that in today's culture when it comes to commitment and the true definition of love in terms of today's relationships? And we can start with Josiah.
Man, I think this hits not close to home in the sense that it was something that I dealt with, but like there's been a couple people that I've interacted with over the last year of my life that have kind of walked through this space of like committing and the issues that come with that. And it's not just in relationships either. It's committing to jobs, it's committing to churches, it's committing to other friendships. It's committing to something as simple as a hangout time. And like that's something that like I've had to get over too, of like, are we going to set this plan, right? And it's, I think this essence of like not wanting to fail or not wanting to let people down. And so when we look at specifically relationships, I think that there is a large part of people like feeling like they need the approval of others, or feeling like they have to have like the right answer. And I think something that is missing is just a confidence in our own ability to make decisions. And like, I know of a couple situations where it's people that are like missing some type of firm foundation in their life, where they don't like if you're trying to jump to some place, you can't jump if you don't have a firm foundation to stand on, right? And as believers, we believe that Jesus is ultimately the firm foundation. And so Amen. When you're walking around life and you don't have something firm to cling on to, nothing feels firm. And so when you want to walk into a relationship, you begin to look to this other person to say, they need to meet all my needs. They have to complete me. They have to fulfill me and satisfy me. And that's where this emotional and actional form of love begins to be so like, it needs to be relied on, because if there's not something evidential that I can see, then somehow there's something missing. But if you have this understanding that like in my relationship, Gabby is not the person that I find my wholeness in, find my healing in, find my completion in, find my contentment, find my satisfaction, because she is not the person that I rely on for that, we can go through conflict. We can go through periods where we're apart from each other. We can go through times when I'm not seeing the actions or the emotions. And I know that something has a hold of me, and that's Jesus, right? Like my life is secure. But then I can look at her and say, if I understand the principle of what a relationship is supposed to be, which is a decision to commit, right? I've made that commitment to her, and I believe that she's made that commitment to me as well. So then we can look at this and say, we're not fighting each other in a conflict, but we're fighting the conflict to work on this relationship. And so I think ultimately the biggest reason why there's a lack of commitment or a difficulty in committing to things, it's because people don't have the right foundations.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I've kind of seen it in some people at Liberty where it seems like they don't really have their life together, or the decisions they're making seems a lot more self-destructive than helping them out. And I think I agree with that too, where it's like if you don't have a firm foundation, it really messes with you. And I see that. And I see that also affecting other people as well. Like, it doesn't just affect yourself, it affects the people around you. And it can be, I guess, hurtful in a way, but also it kind of makes me look at them and be like, I wish I could do something more to help you. But it's hard because it doesn't seem like they're in a space where they want to be helped. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. Can you
elaborate a little bit? Are you talking about couples specifically? It also seems like you'd be talking about relationships in general.
I'm just talking about, relationships in general, like not just a couple, just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's first of all, great answer from both of you guys. But yeah, I would agree with you guys as well. Commitment is so difficult to just keep because, and like you were saying, Gabby, in any form of relationship, commitment, for one, even more, further than anything else, commitment is a choice. Commitment is an absolute choice that you need to consistently make. Every day, I have to commit to going into work. Every day I have to commit to getting out of bed, to texting you good morning, to making myself breakfast, to talking to my friends. Those are things that I don't actually technically have to do. And I think also we've kind of built up, our generation has kind of built up this, I'm going to do what I want to do and I don't really care what anyone else thinks. This is my life and I will do what I want no matter how it affects the others around me. And we've created this selfishness to where commitment is very nominal in our culture. And there's no importance behind commitment. Because when you bring up commitment to a modern dude in particular, they are like, no, why would I want to put myself in that type of box? Not every guy, and I don't want to put every girl or every guy into one box. But there is a very popular, especially on social media, there's a very glamorized life of a lack of commitment and that actually doing you better than having a strong, committed relationship and foundation in your life for every aspect, whether it be the relationship with maybe food, relationship with your friends, relationship with your cleanliness. So, yeah, good answer. Really good answer.
I feel like there really is problems on both ends of the spectrum of, like, I guess Christian dating or even more conservative religious dating on this side, and then total secular dating. I feel like on the secular side, it falters in that it will be like you said, people don't really want to commit maybe. It's become focused on feelings and what I want in the current moment. Whereas on the more Christian side of dating, I think people focus so much on the fact that it is a choice, which it is, but they may let go of their standards and non-negotiables because it's just a choice, and like you have to love them no matter what because God chose this person for you, and like if you don't love them, you're not doing God's will. And I think that's a problem because he does give us the choice to stay in a relationship or not. Dating, like marriage is totally different, but I don't know. I definitely think you have to have like a middle ground of like, I'm choosing to love you every day. And I also have these like non-negotiables that I will not, that nothing will get in the way of. So I don't know if you guys had thoughts on that.
I agree 100%. That was so good. Because there is a danger in getting into the extremes of both sides, like whether they're secular or Christian. And I think it can be dangerous as a Christian to be like, oh, God brought you into my life, which can be true. But if that person is bringing harm to you,
Yeah.
like I see that in relationships, like this person is bringing harm to you and you're not even like, you're just like, you're taking the blows, I guess, and just being like, oh, well, this person came to my life because God brought them to me and whatever. So like,
yeah.
and I'm just like, oh,
Or
my
just like
goodness.
doing wife or husband things way before you're
Yes,
married and like
yes.
making that commitment, like
Yes.
stay at home girlfriend type things. I'm
Yes.
like, don't do that. You don't have to be here. Like
Exactly.
that's it's a choice. And obviously after like a certain amount of time, even if you're not engaged, you will take things more seriously and you will like totally 100% commit to each other. It's something I noticed in culture.
This actually kind of relates back to a question we asked them last episode where they were here about soulmates and about the belief in whether
Yeah.
soulmates were a thing or not. And I guess this actually can relate back to the idea of it, because if you have to consistently make a choice to that person you're with, then the idea of a soulmate, is that really a true statement that people believe in? And is maybe that also a reason why people struggle with commitment too?
Yes.
The one thing that I was going to say is, I don't know if anybody like picked up on it or not, but in my like reason for like knowing that we were ready, I think one take, or like not a take, but a response to the soulmate conversation is not necessarily like there is one person for you that whether God has picked them out or whatever, like you can go down so many different rabbit trails.
For sure.
But the way that I responded is I said that Gabby is the type of person for me. So like these non-negotiables that you have as like as believers, like do they love the Lord? Are they committed to growing as a person? Do you see patterns of growth? Do you see a driven person? Like all of these different types of people, like that can incorporate 7 different options. And like, but the idea is like when you see this type of person and then it's like you're interacting with them as a friend, then you like commit to them. So it's like, I don't think that there's one person, but like a type of person.
That's good.
I don't feel special.
No, but like, no, but like I'm saying, like you are special because we've built this relationship, because you are the type of person, and now you're special because I've committed to you, because I've put a ring on your finger. Like we are special to each other because of the commitment that we have for one another.
Gotcha.
And like we live in this understanding of commitment.
Just needed to confirm that.
But I'm like, look at
No.
look at your
You guys
hand.
are good.
But like, that's the thing is like that's what makes commitment so important, is because if you take away this, like, are you finding this one person? Because in that conversation, well, now I found this one person and nobody could ever possibly ever come close to this, whatever. But then it's like, no, the commitment is what makes this sealed. The commitment is what makes this bonded, what makes this special. And when you live in this understanding that the commitment is the holy thing, that's what makes marriage holy. That's what makes that holy.
Yeah.
It's this I do. That's what sets that apart.
My guilty pleasure is like reality shows where they get married instantly. And unfortunately, if you keep up with like all of the drama after the shows, like they all get divorced. And I know it's all like glamorized, but that's the point. It's like I think marriage is so glamorized. It's always been kind of romanticized, and I have romanticized it since I was young. But I think now with media like really honing in on that and having so many shows about physical appearance and getting married within like 4 weeks, none of it lasts. And yeah,
4
I
weeks
think
is wild.
yeah, I just think we're losing the sanctity of marriage, I guess. I don't know how to say it.
See, my response to the 4 week, like, yes, 4 weeks is wild, but
But what?
but
Oh, no.
again, if the commitment is the sacred part, then 4 weeks is nothing. Because
I
if
don't
like
know about 4
like
weeks.
I'm saying, like, okay. Hear me out. From my personal opinion, there are things that you need to do in order to identify, is this the type of person? You have to see them in different spaces.
Yes.
How do they interact with friends? How do they manage their time? How do they manage their money? How do they pursue? You can't necessarily prove if somebody has a pattern of growth over the span of 4 weeks.
Correct.
But the point is, if two people are committed to not only each other, but committed to the commitment, then 4 weeks doesn't necessarily mean anything. That's why there's so much more success rates in like assigned marriages.
Oh, arranged.
Arranged marriages, because the culture says once you're in the marriage, you're committed to the marriage. And when you see people committed to the marriage, they grow in their ability to love one another. They grow in the marriage. They learn each other because they're just committed to the commitment, and nothing's going to change that. And so they're like, well, we're in this situation. Let's learn how to love each other. And so I'm not necessarily saying that
Get
that's
an arranged marriage.
No, that's not,
Get an arranged marriage.
That's not
with those two.
that's not necessarily my like get an arranged marriage, but like that's why we see the difference in those cultures compared to specifically the American culture, which says I'm just going to do whatever's right for me, and then nobody's committed to the commitment.
But I think also, like, with those shows and the 4 weeks thing, I think a lot of the time why those marriages fail is not because it was 4 weeks, but it was because a lot of those people are very materialistic. And if you literally just like hear them talk, they're very like, whatever makes you happy. Like, it's all about your happiness. And I'm like, that's not going to carry you into marriage. And like, and they're very shallow. I'd say that as well. But
That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Have you guys seen the Pop the Balloon YouTube show? Have you seen it? Don't make me look stupid right now.
Is
Have
that
you
on
seen?
like Cut? Is that like on Cut?
It's so.
You just watch
so
people
trashy.
wait, no, I know what you're
It's
talking about.
so,
I've
like,
seen clips.
7
Oh, with it's like the girls in a line and one dude,
yeah,
and she's
yeah.
like,
Now
Okay.
why am I the
from-
one that doesn't know this?
So it's a dating show, but it's like YouTube exclusive. I wonder if it will get picked up by Netflix or something. Anyway, they have like 7 girls lined up, and they'll have different guys come into the room, and the girls have a blown up balloon, and based on whether they think the guy that walks in is attractive or not, they pop the balloon if they think he's not attractive. And so there's just
he'll
these,
explain his like.
there's
he'll
just these
explain who he is and
clips
stuff.
all over social media of like a guy walks in, and most people would say these guys are like not bad looking, they're just normal looking guys, and all of the girls instantly pop their balloons at once. Imagine that, like walking into a room and like everyone's like, you're ugly, all of them.
Yeah, no.
Terrible.
I started crying
So
on the
terrible.
spot.
And some of these guys, like I'm not even trying to front. Some of these guys are really attractive, you know, and it's like these girls are like, no, like, you know what I mean? But the point that I'm trying to say is that anyway,
I would be on board with you if I've seen it, but
the point that I'm trying to say is that like these dudes come in and they're very kind, they're very well put together, they're decent looking, and a lot of people will turn them down. But typically, a lot of the time, they turn them down due to some things that they say. So like, there's one really popular one where the guy's like, you know, I want a girl who doesn't smoke, a girl who, you know, is committed, is very like open to waking up early and going to the gym with me, and, you know, practicing this, and who doesn't partake in clubbing or anything like that. And like all the girls pop their balloons, and the guy wasn't rude about it. It wasn't a red pill type dude who was like, if my girl has Instagram, she's cheating. You know, it was more of like a guy who was like, I'm an adult and I want a girl who's going to be an adult.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like those types of shows have just proven how brain rot dating is nowadays. Purely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you were saying, Gabby, with the whole idea of whatever, do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
Oh, just be with whoever makes you happy. Quite frankly, part of living and just living life in a way that's good and healthy for you is dealing with the things that are not good for you. Like, for example, you know, like you might be in a really crappy financial situation at the moment, but just being like, oh, well, I don't want to work, so I'll just stay in this financial situation because I would rather not work, and I'll just do this instead. That's stupid. You're making a stupid decision.
Dummy.
You know, just straight up. If your opinions in life are just, if something is hard, I will run away, or I will choose to just not be a part of it, you'll find yourself consistently running rather than, you know, actually standing firm and, you know, telling whatever the problem is to move for you rather than you yourself moving. I completely stole that from Captain America. That line.
I was going to say that's really good, but at least you gave credit.
Heck
Yeah.
Well, I want to add to that too, where along with those YouTube videos of like those girls doing that, a lot of the time people don't want to hear their significant other kind of go like affirm them or not affirm them. So like if your partner or a person you're talking to or going on a first date with is not okay with something you do, you're immediately like, nope, you're not for me. You're this and that slur and whatever. And so it's like, that seems like what is going on. That seems just like the dating atmosphere that is going on, where it's like, if someone disagrees with one thing I do, like drinking alcohol or smoking or whatever, then like, nope, this person's not for me. I'm not willing to change this. You're this, and that. And so it's like it seems like people are becoming more and more narcissistic in a way.
Word.
That's a strong word.
If you guys are single, would you be on dating apps?
No.
I agree. I like to ask people that because I feel like the way dating apps are is the way that dating is, whether you're on the apps or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I could do it either. Yeah.
I personally honestly think most people who are on dating apps purely look at it sexually, in my opinion. That's just the culture that I get from dating. Unless you're like on like, farmersonly.com or like christianmingle.com or whatever. But I think like on Tinder.
I don't know that that's everyone's intention, but I do think everyone runs
not everyone,
into that.
but I think a lot of people who like are on Tinder culture is so sexualized. And so that's my opinion.
I think some apps like have the culture of like, oh, if you want just a one night stand, you go to this app. If you want a fling, you go to this app. If you want wholesome, you go to this app or whatever. And like, I'm not hating on the apps, but like our culture is losing the ability to interact with people face to face. And like, okay, so say you find somebody that you match with, like on paper, you're supposed to match. Mm-hmm. But then what happens when you don't match in person? Like there has to be something else of substance to a person that means whether or not you match. And I think I was going to add one other thing. I literally had a short conversation with a couple on Saturday night. I was at a Christmas party, and I met this couple that just celebrated 50 years of marriage. And like I said, I don't want this to be like a 1 hour thing, but like, what's the secret to 50 years? And literally the thing that they said is like, don't be selfish. And it's like, I think if we apply a biblical principle to the idea that when you become married, you become one flesh, our culture wants to become their own person. And when they're quote unquote ready for a relationship, they want to find somebody who will let them be their own person, but who can just fill all of, this is what my other person should be. They should cook, clean, have sex with me, like whatever. Like it could be anything. But naturally, as you, like the Bible tells us that you become one flesh, meaning you have to mesh together, meaning sometimes some things might have to shift, some things might have to change, some things will have to grow, and people change over time. We are celebrating 4 years and 2 months today. Notice how I said 50-year-long couple. Today is 50 months for us. But anyways.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
But like, Gabby is not the same person that she was 4 years and 2 months ago. Neither am I the same person that I was 4 years and 2 months ago. And the amount of like what I've grown in 4 years, I can only imagine how much I'm going to grow in 50 years. So to look at my relationship and say, this person who lets me be my own person today, 20 years down the road, like I'm a completely different person and she's a completely different person. There's no recipe for success there unless you just say we're going to be our own people. But then the biblical principle says that we're actually going to be one person together. So like the culture that says that you can just be your own person and be in a relationship and stay that way, there's nothing true about that. Everything about that is completely false.
That's
a
good.
good
And we
point.
feel the same. It's also been 4 years for us, and we just talked about in a recent episode that we feel like it's so crazy to look back on the person you were. Even just like every year, I feel like I look back on the year before, I'm like, why did I say that? That was so cringe.
Even
and like,
6 months.
Yeah, I know. So it's just so interesting to think about like 20, 30 years. I can't even fathom that, how different you will be.
Homebodies, my hair was green when Carina and I met.
Wait, what?
My hair was green when Carina and I met.
Only the
Okay.
tips.
Yikes.
I'm just telling y'all.
He
My
had
hair
a
was
picture.
dyed
He had
blonde with
outgrown-
green.
He had outgrown a green cut from like a year before. It wasn't really green. Like I really couldn't see it until you mentioned it. And then one time he brought up, he was like, what if I went green again? And I think I said like,
Did you throw up?
I think I was like, please don't. Like I thought about, never mind.
Hey, 1,000
He's
views
about
on our
to
next
end it all.
TikTok. 1,000 views on our next TikTok. I'll shave my head and paint it green. I'm kidding. I'm not doing that.
Hashtag Grinch.
I will not do
hour.
that. I'll show a picture of me with green hair. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
Grinch.
I'm going to put that in.
But the point of that being that I was a very different person when Carina and I met.
Yeah.
And she was very different as well. And so I get what you guys are saying about the idea of like, you can say, it's like people who are like, oh, I just want a girl who's going to be chill with me and party with me. But the thing is that most people, not even just women, most people, when they actually start living with someone or start doing life with people or not, or generally hanging out with people, eventually the spark of like, oh, this guy is so fun to have drinks with. This guy is so fun to play sports with. Eventually, that's not enough. You know, that type of stuff, it loses its sting after a while. So the idea of like, oh, I just want a person like this, purely having that reason as your main target for why you want to date someone or be friends with someone, that'll eventually fade. And that's not going to be something that is not something that is like, you want a transactional relationship in that regard. You want a relationship that you give something and they give something back. It's very transactional. But that unfortunately is not how humans are wired. Yeah, you give me something, I'll give you something back, but there also has to be something consistently going throughout this that keeps us together. Because if you just keep it at like, oh yeah, Carina, I really like the way you make this food. I like the way you make wraps, you know? It's like, that's good, but it's like, unfortunately, wraps are not enough to keep someone together for 50 years, you know?
It's like that saying, people will say you have to give 50-50, but I think really some days you have to, one person will have to give like 90 and the other person will have to give 10. Like it's not an equal amount all the time. And I think that's important to keep in mind.
But also men, don't be going around to women being like, I will give you everything at first on like the first date or like just out of nowhere. Don't be going around being like, I will give you everything. I will give you something. Give me a chance. Just like give me a chance. And if you get rejected, you just blame it on society. Don't do that. Please don't.
Know who you are.
I'm really happy that the idea of nice guys has been like, you know, kind of tackled
A meme.
lately and memed. But man, it's like, listen, realistically, I'm not a woman, of course. But at this point, I've been with this woman for 4 years, you know? And so I feel like I know what women like. You know?
I know what women
and
like.
You know what that woman likes.
And women don't like being berated about how nice you are and how good of a person you are. Women want to see. Show, don't tell. Don't always just give them 100% verbiage and then no actual meaning behind what you're actually saying.
Period.
I agree.
I was just going to say that goes back to the action. Like, just because there's a commitment does not mean that emotions and actions are not important. They can be the fingerprints of commitment.
Yeah, Christians talk a lot about how it's all about action and not always feeling. But feeling is important too. Like you do want to feel in love with the person that you've chosen to commit to. But the feeling shouldn't drive the decisions that you make, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Moving away from kind of the dating realm and into more just relationships in general and friendships, I had posted this question on our Instagram story a few days ago. And the question is, what is something that everyone should ask their closest friends in order to understand them more deeply and deepen the relationship, even if people are afraid or intimidated to do that? I guess I asked this question for a couple reasons. One, because I wanted to discuss some of these questions with you guys, because you guys are some of our closest friends, and I thought, I don't know, it might just be nice for the people to see like a realistic interaction of some of these deep questions and maybe be encouraged to ask their friends. And in talking about relationships and culture, I do feel like friendships are not examined super closely all the time. I think it's very normal to just go out with coffee for someone in a superficial way and to talk about your life and get updated and to know someone for like 5 years and not actually know their backstory or know their goals and their dreams, and to almost ask the same questions you would in a romantic relationship to your friends. So we some of the responses to this question I wanted to bring up to you guys. So we can just talk about our responses, and hopefully this is an encouragement to some people out there to talk about these things as well. So the first one is, what is a dream or goal that you guys are working on that most people don't know about you?
What kind of responses are you looking for? Because low-key, I would just say like
Whatever comes to your mind.
mid. Like, I think that's a good, I like goals and dreams. Like, those are good questions, but I think there's so much more meat to understanding your friend, because you can ask somebody like, what's a goal or something that you have? One of the first things that I ever knew about Seth was, I want to make music, right? That was a goal and a dream that you had. And I know that you're finding other outlets for that. But the reason that you're doing that is really what I'm after, to get to know you as a person. And the reason that you pursue music or media is because you're a creative person at heart. You have this desire to create something out of nothing, and you need an outlet. And music was something that you fell in love with because you were in probably a dark time, because you were going through whatever it was in high school. You went through so many personality shifts, and music was that outlet that could capture that creativity that was coming out of you. So that's the real thing that I'm after. So just a surface question of what's a dream that you're working towards, because the dream, high key, is going to change. But the why is going to help you know that person so much deeper, as to say, like, what's your backstory? Where did this dream come from? And what are you trying to get at with this?
That's good.
That's why I would say that question is mid.
Yeah.
I think I get it now.
Do you agree about that question?
No, I agree too. But also, I just want to say something about myself as well. It's like, I am an introvert, as you know.
Welcome.
And friendships have always been kind of a struggle for me, I guess. And so, like, if I don't have good responses to these questions, it's because it's kind of like hard for me to also get past that point to like know someone deeper, because all the friends I have in my life currently, I've known for years and I've grown up with them. And so for me to make a friend right off the bat has always been kind of a struggle. So it's also good for me to hear these as well too, so I can lock them away and use them when I need to, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoy being asked deep questions like this, but sometimes if I'm thrown off, I'm like, wait, I need to think of something. And then I go home and I like think of an answer, and then I need to go back and say, I agree.
Yeah.
So, Seth, what do you think? Do you think that's a good question to ask?
I do think that yes, I do. But I do think that there needs to be a explain and why, and yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Okay.
If you could change one thing about your environment, what would it be? Is this a good question to ask somebody? Personally, I like this question. I feel like if I was asked this is a genuinely like reflective question that I'm like, okay, even if I'm in a great situation, I feel like there's always something that could change for the better. So I don't know. I like it.
There's so much that I feel like ever since I was a kid that I've wanted to change, but it's changed like every single year. Like every year there's something different I want my environment to be like. When I was a kid, I wanted there to be more brown people in my school, because like I was like the only brown kid. In like another time, I actually would have preferred if my friend group was mostly one color or the other. But then another time I wished, maybe I was in a more Christian-based friend group. Maybe I wasn't. Maybe the place where I was it was less rural and it was more city-like. So I like the question. And there's a lot of things I can go into depth with there, and I'm sure you guys probably could as well. Do you guys have thoughts on that question?
I rate it a 7 out of 10.
Nice.
Because
Why?
I think
Okay.
because questions are only good if the person answering has like an in-depth answer and is willing to go into details. Because like I've talked to people and I could ask a question like that and they'll just be like, I wish there were more trees or something like that. I'm
Like the actual environment.
Yeah, and I'm like, what am I supposed to think? You're not giving me anything. It really depends.
Yeah.
So
That's a good
7 out
answer.
of 10.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I think for this question, one piece of it, why it is a good question for deepening friendships, is because a question like this could lead to an accountability situation where it's like, hey, I'm struggling with this, or hey, I want to go to the gym more. That's like, I want to change my diet or something. Then that friend can like hey, let's do this mutually. Let me help you out with that change. And that can deepen a friendship so fast.
That's good.
So last question, and you guys can answer this one if you want. I'll answer it. Is it a good idea to ask someone, what is a memory we share that is meaningful to you? I think yes, it's a great question. It's very reflective. It will cause you to really think about your friendship with this particular person and reminisce together. I have a few. One of them is when Seth and I were having a problem that was like recurring, and it was hard to we tried to work it out ourselves, and we went to you guys and we were like, hey, we really just need to talk about this. And we went to a local diner and we just laid everything out, and you guys were very honest with us, but I felt like you were also very encouraging in your empathy, but you also were like, this is what you should do, honestly, as accountability people. And you encouraged us to go see the counselor at our church, and that's just cemented in my head as a group. And then with Gabby, there was a particular time that we went to breakfast and we were talking about grace. And I'll never forget, because I really struggle with the idea of grace, and the advice you had given me that I'm not going to get into because I'll get emotional, but felt very authentic and pushed me to look at the idea of free grace in a new way. So I'm very appreciative of that time.
I mean, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that. So Seth, is it a good question? And what's a good memory that you have?
I mean, I think it is a fun question. And the memory I have, I guess, is not as deep as yours.
Oh.
I would also say that memory for the two of them, but a memory I have for me and Jojo is when we got the entire theater for Sonic 2.
What?
Remember that? Do you remember that? We went
Did
to
we get the entire
the whole theater was empty. Entire theater was empty.
Did we rent
That's
it
a
out, or
vibe.
did it just happen to be?
No, it just happened to be empty.
Okay. I was gonna say I didn't think we made it happen.
No, we didn't make it.
But yeah, it was.
But we went
it
there
was just
and
you and I.
20 minutes into it, we were like, and so we were just talking out loud.
We were like, we're the only ones
That's so
here.
nice.
I
So
do
yeah,
remember
that's
that.
yeah. That was fun. That's a
Yeah.
memory. But of course, I also have a vivid memory of me and Jojo meeting up at a diner and talking about our personal addictions in person for the first time. And Jojo was the first person that I was ever able to be open with about it. And that was that shifted my headspace on it honestly shifted my headspace a little bit on my faith and Christianity a little bit.
Wow.
Because it made, because the reason why I was so ashamed to talk about pornography and that type of addiction was because of the way that I kind of grew up thinking about it, that it was gross, you shouldn't talk about that stuff in church. But the fact that the first person who I was open with was a Christian and was so not willing to tell me that I was disgusting or that I was gross or that I was alone in that journey, it was just a really good eye-opening, honestly, just really kind experience that I remember a lot.
I'd say this one is so far is a 9 out of 10. And I say 9 out of 10, not 10 out of 10, because it's kind of hard to ask this question if you are just starting to be friends with someone and then you don't have any
That's true.
For sure.
cutesy memories or anything like that. But favorite memory, oh my goodness, there's so much when you've known someone for so many years. I'd say with Carina, I don't think there's a specific memory, but I think it's more just looking over all my memories of you and your willingness to hang out with me and your willingness to just, I don't know, be yourself, to ask deep questions, to just show who you really are and not be scared about it. I've always admired that about you. And I always just remember you, even in church, in small group, when you came into the group, I just remember being this girl is crazy, in a good way. You were I thought you were so smart and you're a really good singer. That's a memory. I'll say that. You would like sing a little bit because you're really good at singing, like theater.
Did I sing in front of you guys?
Yeah, not like you didn't sing a song, but like you would sing little tunes from like Disney princess movies or something.
What? That's
Yes.
embarrassing. What the
Okay,
heck?
I'll say that's my memory.
You
But I
probably-
remember,
you probably
and I
do
loved
that.
That's
it.
dope.
What?
You do that.
I loved
I'm
it.
so
And I was
sorry
like,
for
Carina,
my
you're such a good
pick-me
singer.
behavior.
No, I loved it. I loved it. So yeah, I'll say that's my
Well,
memory.
thank you.
Yeah, I love this question. Dang, I like when it comes to friendships or like meeting up with people and asking questions. I like asking questions like this. So like I don't often come across a question that I've A, never heard about, or B, that like I've never asked either. So like I'm gonna steal this question, whoever put this in the comments. But I would say for Gabby first, I think the memories that come to my mind the most vividly are the ones where we're just being goofy together. Like whether or not we're playing like Fortnite or we're wrestling or or we're just like doing random dances wherever we're at, and just like low-key, just whenever you hit the gritty is the most adorable thing ever. I just exposed you to the world,
I'm
but
gonna need video
Thanks.
proof.
that's for me. My eyes only. Snapchat, whatever. No, I'm kidding. Or
I
our
don't think
first
that's the
kiss,
meaning.
or our first kiss too. That was pretty
Aw.
cool. 'Cause that was both of our first kisses ever.
Really?
Yes.
What?
We're like the first evers for everything. But for Seth, I think the one that comes to my head was the first time we went to the beach and we were just like dancing in the living room. I have
Oh
pictures
my gosh,
of it.
I have a picture. I have a live
That's a
video
dope
of that.
picture.
Or the night that you and Darian came over and we like sock
sleeping.
wrestled. Or like I just like started falling asleep halfway through the conversation and you guys were like starting to mess with me and you're like, Jojo, are you awake? And I was like, I know. But I think for me it's just the goofy memories I think are the ones
Yeah.
that stick the most. But then there are like the deep conversations. But I feel like I just like when those memories come up, it's more of like an emotional aura to the deep ones where it's like I don't necessarily always remember like this is where we were, this is what we were talking about, this is what we were wearing. It's just like there was emotional bonding and like I can just like visualize like a steam aura or something around that moment. But the goofy ones are the ones that are like fixated in my mind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's special because I do think that the more lighthearted moments are highlighted by the emotional bond that's there.
Yeah.
So that's why I think you need both. But
Dude, that
Yeah.
the imagery of like us dancing in the living room, I have that picture and it crosses through like my memories on my phone.
It does
like,
that for
all
me
the time.
too. Yes.
And it's a live video too. It's a live photo too. So it plays like like us actually like shuffling back and forth. Oh man, that was so good. That was so good. Oh, that's a good memory. I'm glad
That's
you
a
brought that
great
up.
memory.
Yeah.
Dude.
well, that was special, and I'm gonna go home and cry.
Mhm.
And before we wrap up, what's in store for you guys? Like, what does your future look like 5 years from now, tomorrow, a week from now? Like, what are you working towards? Take the question as you will.
I graduate college in May. I have one semester left. I'm very excited. I guess I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but developmental psychology is my degree that I will be graduating with. Getting married in August.
Let's go.
Then hopefully, Lord willing, starting master's degree, in which I'll be pursuing some form of counseling degree. Christmas is on Wednesday. My family's not celebrating Christmas on Christmas this year
Yeah.
What? For any reason, or should?
for scheduling reasons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's happening on the next day after, but I'm going to Gabby's family's on Christmas
That's
Day.
nice.
So, but that's what's in store for me. I'm graduating, marriage,
Awesome.
masters.
I mean, it's kind of the same for me, except without the master's. Sooner, I might be starting this internship with a probation and parole agency this next semester. It's like, I'd say it's 90% solidified. I have to like check it up on it again. And then obviously, I'm trying to finish my degree in the summer, if that makes sense, like online.
Okay.
and then marriage, and then I need to search for a full-time job, which I'm trying not to think about too much because I'm going to get worried. So, yeah.
It will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about what's in store for you guys? When do you graduate, Carina?
Next December, so December 25. So I have 2 semesters left, and Seth is online, so he's doing school part-time.
So I'm taking it slow, but
Yeah.
I'm getting it done, though.
You're
I'm so proud
grinding
of
at
him.
work, though.
I'm grinding.
You are grinding.
I'm going
so hard at
part-time,
work.
and I'm working full-time,
Mm-hmm.
and we're doing this podcast,
Yeah.
and something else is being planned, too, on the side.
Yay.
Yeah.
So I'm
Spoiler.
graduating next year, and I am hoping, also on the hunt for like jobs and stuff and that fun stuff, and just figuring out like what it means to be an adult. Oh my gosh, that's so cringe, but like I feel like I've experienced so many different feelings and like since becoming like turning 18 and now entering my 20s. Like it's so weird feeling things that I've tried to plan out when I was a teenager, and now like experiencing adult life for the first time. It's really scary. So really just navigating that in my own way, I guess, is what I can say for that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, we'll wrap up here.
Yeah.
We're so grateful for you guys, and I'm sure you'll be back on at this
Ditto.
point. The people love you.
Yes.
So,
We should talk about, I don't know, something. You should comment what we should talk about next time.
yes, agreed. Next time, y'all will be married. That's actually crazy.
Oh my God.
Goals.
All right. We are so thankful that you guys are here with us, and we are wishing you the happiest of holidays. You can find me on Instagram at Carina_B04.
You can find me at its_DANEYL. You can find us at the_introvert_city. You can also find us on TikTok and Facebook as well. And you can also like, subscribe, and comment. Turn on the bell for notifications, and make sure you put a comment down below. Also, give us a good review as well. Give us a star as well if you would like to.
And
Also, what?
the live event.
I was literally about to say
Okay,
that.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm not mad.
He's mad. Mark your calendars
I'm
for
not mad.
February 21st.
But we do have a live event coming up in February where we will be talking to three
3 panel guests.
panelists. It'll be a live event here at Lancaster Bible College.
And it'll also be live streamed if you're not in the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area. So stay tuned for details on that. And otherwise, we'll see you next time. Bye,
Bye-bye.
homebodies.